We've only been communicating about the ocean in what we would understand to be a modern campaigning context for the last 50 years. It began in the 60s and 70s, a time of ecological awakening, kick-started by new scientific discoveries and exposures such as Silent Spring. Apollo 17 showed us our planet in its entirety for the first time, and we began to understand its finite nature. Jacques Cousteau brought the undersea world into millions of homes and inspired a generation. The United Nations Regional Seas Programme showed that global governance was both possible and required. It was the right backdrop for ocean communications and campaigning to begin. We had scientific knowledge, evidence, and publicly voiced concern, political validation that the concerns were real, new insight into the finite nature of our planet, and engaging visuals which took us out into space and down into the ocean depths to experience its enormity and its detail. All this set the scene for the first global ocean communications campaign, Save the Whales, fought out over decades and across the pages of newspapers and TV screens. It was the right story at the right time, combining science, public outrage, political support, amazing images, drama, and mass media. Faced with rising global environmental awareness, taking action on whaling was one of the easiest things for politicians to do and the hardest to resist. Led by Greenpeace, whales became the poster children for environmental activism, and the campaign captured, boosted, and institutionalized the shifting relationship between humanity and the natural world. Save the Whales worked because there was a high degree of alignment of effort by non-governmental organizations, focus and resources with both covert and overt government support, and the International Whaling Commission provided a ready-made political framework, agenda, and structure. But mainly it was successful, resulting in a moratorium on whaling, because whales became a lightning rod between political responsibility and public concern about the state of the environment in general, in which the ocean was both literal and symbolic. Campaigns to protect specific places, such as the Great Barrier Reef, also had their roots in the 60s and focused concern around specific locations rather than species. This was effective where the place was beautiful and accessible, but unsuccessful for less obviously glorious stretches of ocean. In the UK, for example, campaigns for marine protected areas, or MPAs, failed to connect because despite being an island race with a long maritime tradition, most British people were unaware that there was anything worthy of protection beneath their domestic sea. Seeing grey, murky and cold water, people concluded there was nothing left to protect, so new MPAs were not needed as it was already too late. But once shown engaging real-life examples of places under their local sea, they became enthused and convinced of the need for protection. More recently, we've seen the advent of specific threat-based communications and campaigns, for example around longlining, drift nets and bottom trawling, which tackle problems of poor fisheries management, bad practice and overfishing through a specific aspect of the wider problem. Focusing on specifics turns an otherwise unwieldy issue into a dinner party objective, something which can become viral in public conversations and be more readily engaged with. Each of these approaches can bring success, but also create problems, and as we face the next 50 years of ocean campaigning, it's time for an evolved approach. The ocean story is disjointed. Species, places and threats are separate and distinct. We give different parts of the ocean different names and manage them as if they were unconnected. Consequently, few people understand that the ocean works as a whole, functioning at an Earth system level to make all life on our planet possible. Overfishing alone is made up of countless individual campaign issues, segmented by different species, different oceans and different stocks within those oceans. People are left confused and paralysed by multiple campaigns which reinforce the idea that the ocean faces a series of separate, unrelated problems. Awareness is at an all-time high. Blue is the new green. but the challenges remain. The oceans are too big and too far away for most people to care about. And despite dire warnings, the oceans continue to produce oxygen and fish. NGOs campaign in the way that will bring about the best near-term results, where they can attract funding and support, but inevitably this leaves some serious gaps. So on top of the good campaigning work already going on, we need to add something new, a Higgs boson for the ocean. A Higgs boson is that fragment of matter which makes everything else in our universe hold together, and which ensures that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. We need communications to tell the whole story and campaigning to join the ocean back up. That means undertaking a strategic overview of our collective ocean communications and campaign effort to identify the gaps and fill them. More alignment enabled by more funding to elevate the boring and long-term but important work into communicable campaigns, and to build new projects and ideas which create the Higgs boson of the ocean. The opportunity is to harness all our resources to drive rapid change for the ocean in a highly strategic and joined-up way, supporting the high-profile and highly visible, but also investing in the invisible, so that everything we do now enhances and is enhanced by everything which is already going on. The opportunity is not to replace what is already there, but to make it work so much harder and to greater effect. In fact, to behave like a healthy ecosystem.